What is the meaning and purpose of life from Islamic perspective?
حسبي ربي جل الله ما في قلبي غير الله.
As a brief introductory statement, I have to say that I've heard many people worldwide speaking out about their complicated search for answers to some existential questions. Therefore, as Muslims are always eager out of altruism to share whatever benefits they enjoy with others, it would be helpful to present the Islamic worldview as I understand it to anyone interested. So let us start by asking first, what is a worldview? In the context of the inevitable fate of death, several existential questions are arising regarding the meaning and purpose of life, such as, who am I? Why am I here? What should I do? Where am I going? Is death the end of the human journey or the beginning of a new one? You see, these are important, frequently asked questions. So the search for answers to them becomes a pressing matter. The sought answers, however, are derived from a human worldview, which to some extent control every thought and action of their lives. Such a vision or philosophy of life is commonly expressed via our beliefs and moral, religious or otherwise. It is worth noting that every religion is a worldview, but not every worldview is a religious one. On the other hand, this concept can be understood by determining the main structural elements that constitute such cosmovision concerning life, the world we live in, and the interrelationships. Why? Well, isn't it important and interesting to know who lives next to us in this world? What are the causes that brought us together? And what is the nature of the relationship that should be between us? Ultimately, this means that the worldview constitutes the main source of the meaning and purpose of life we believe in. On the other hand, to my understanding, there are two main branches of existing worldviews: the worldly view and the trans-worldly view. Each branch, however, contains several slightly or greatly different subviews. Let us turn to our main subject, that is the Islamic worldview. As I mentioned earlier, for all worldviews, we need to apply this in the case of the Islamic worldview. That is, we need to determine the main structural elements of the Islamic worldview and who is responsible for forming the mentioned relationship and their nature. Before doing that, we should highlight the importance of knowing the world's structural elements. Why are they important? This is a fundamental step, as such elements determine the nature of our vision. Besides, it would be inconceivable to believe that this huge structure we call the universe has no meaning or purpose. Faced with such grandeur, the universe must be composed of highly interrelated elements so that the end goal of such a system can be achievable. Therefore, for an element to be part of the world system, it must be organically related to the other components of that system. Hence, from the Islamic perspective, it is implied that all structural elements must work in perfect harmony with each other based on predetermined divine interrelationship to achieve the system's end goal. Who should establish the interrelationship among the world's structural elements? The answer depends on the worldview held by any party. It is important to note that the worldview may be collective, represented by a system of belief and morals shared by a society. It could also be a different system of belief and morals shared by a small group of that society, for reasons out of context here. In any worldview, however, the one who should establish such interrelationships ought to be a systems element. Let us talk about the structural elements that constitute a worldview. According to what already mentioned, the focus here will be on the two main branches of worldviews. That is, the two-dimensional worldview that comprises human and nature. This is the worldview. The three-dimensional worldview that comprises God or anything else believed in, humans and nature. This is the trans-worldly view. Okay, let us now discuss the two types of worldviews separately, starting by the first one, the two-dimensional worldview. Considering the importance of the interrelations among the structural elements of the mentioned visions for their proper functioning, one needs to know first who is eligible to establish such interrelations. It is quite safe to say that nature, the structural element shared by the two worldviews, is par excellence ineligible to establish such relations for obvious reasons. Hence, since the Creator and nature are excluded from this perspective, humans are the only element left to establish the relationship that ultimately exists exclusively between humans. Note that in this view, no organic interrelationship can be established from humans to nature and vice versa, for both do not obey each other. Nonetheless, in this view, nature is supposed to be at the service of humanity without providing a justifiable explanation. Historically, however, Western philosophers confronted the establishment of such interrelations by introducing the positive method to substitute the theological one, first in Europe and later in the westernized part of the world. According to the positivist method, given the lack of a well-defined moral code, a materialistic relationship among humans, and a structural relation between humans and nature has been developed for the claimed human survival. It should be noted that human relationships are subject and prone to conflict. Why? People are never neutral, and as beneficiaries, they constantly argue with one another over the relationships that have been formed. Second, the three-dimensional worldview. In this case, Muslims believe that the world in which we live in is a highly complex and purposely created system. In short, Islam holds a three-dimensional world view comprised of one God, Allah, humans, and nature. Muslims believe in the existence of Allah, the Creator, requires them to believe, among other things, in the hereafter, the Day of Judgment, heaven, and hell. On the other hand, according to the three-dimensional worldview, which is Islamic worldview in this case, Allah is the only eligible one to establish the desired interrelations among the structural elements of this worldview. These are essentially established by Allah being the creator of the system and the definer of its goals, that is, a creation with contemplation to achieve the predetermined goals, as Allah, glory be to Him, says, quote, "And we did not create the heavens and earth and that between them in play. We did not create them except in truth, but most of them do not know." End quote. Quran, Surah 44, Ayah 38 to 39. Another quote, "And I did not create the jinn and mankind except to worship me." Quran 51, 56. Furthermore, Allah can formulate these interrelations not only because He is the creator who consciously designed this highly complex system, but also because He is the guardian of the affairs of this system since its creation. Moreover, Allah is the only one who possesses the absolute attributes that surpass all those of His creatures and is neutral, therefore non-beneficial, as well as He is the omniscient in every sense of time and place. Thus, anyone not characterized by these qualities is ineligible to establish the general framework for the interrelations among the structural elements of the world system. What are the established interrelations among the universal structural elements and their nature in the Islamic case? As a reminder, all system elements must be linked in an organic relationship. This means that interrelations go in both directions. That is, each element serves the others and is also served by all. As for the relationship in the Islamic case, these are the following. First, the interrelations between Allah, God, and humans. Allah has been specified for humans through guidelines, their basic rights and duties towards Him and others, to realize first and foremost the servitude to Allah, as He, glory be to Him, states, quote, "And I did not create the jinn and mankind except to worship me," end quote. Quran 51, 56. Another quote, "And mention, O Muhammad, when your Lord said to the angel, 'Indeed, I will make upon the earth a successive authority.' They said, 'Will you place upon it one who causes corruption therein and shed blood, while we declare your praise and sanctify you?' Allah said, 'Indeed, I know that which you do not know.'" End quote. Quran 2:30. Consistent with this divine purpose, all humans are vicegerent and all receive special takrim, that is honor. Quote, "And we have certainly honored the children of Adam and carried them on the land and sea, and provided for them of the good things and preferred them over much of what we have created, with definite preference." End quote. Quran 17:70. Second, the interrelations between human beings and Allah. These are associated with a special personal ritual relation of worship. Prayers, for example, zakat, fasting, pilgrimage, etc., in which a person expresses his servitude and obedience to Allah per what He commands and forbids, and from which human beings benefit personally. Such rituals, being part of the Islamic belief system, should be performed in harmony with that system and the Islamic moral. Third, the interrelations between Allah and nature. Allah has established all the elements of the natural world, their attributes, functions, and qualities, and how interrelation or interactions among them should take place. Indeed, such elements are doing what is expected of them perfectly since created, conforming to Allah's command. Quote, then He directed Himself to the heaven while it was smoke, and said to it and to the earth, come into being willingly or by compulsion. They said, we have come willingly. End quote, Quran 41:11. In this sense, a complete answer is given to Allah's command and the task He has specified to the natural elements. Allah also says, quote, the seven heavens and the earth and whatever is in them exalt Him, and there is not a thing except that it exalts Allah by His praise. But you do not understand their way of exalting. Indeed, He is ever forbearing and forgiving. End quote, Quran 17:44. Fourth, the interrelation among the human beings. These are associated with worship to manage the affairs associated with socioeconomic cults and life affairs based on the general framework transactional rules, which define the basic rights and duties of each party. Such cult, being part of the Islamic belief system, must be connected in harmony with that system and with Islamic morals. Let us talk about the complementarity between the two types of worship. There must be complete complementarity and harmony between the two types of worship, referred to as ritual worship, personal in nature, and transactional worship, social. The first type is the essential basis of the second one, as it constitutes a human personality and makes him a just, strong, and honest individual. This is the human being whom Islam is working to educate to practice social and economic transactions. These should come in complementarity or in complete harmony with the Islamic faith and its moral system when performing their duties and working to achieve their rights. Note, however, that the weakness of such complementarity or its lack represent contradiction, if not hypocrisy. This occurs when personal worship becomes mere ritual, meaningless, and does not affect transactional worship as it should. Indeed, reality could not be closer to the truth when we say that this contradiction represents the first step toward corruption. Fifth, the interrelations between human and nature. Initially, God, in His mercy, freely provided humans with certain natural elements, sunlight, air, or oxygen, due to their absolute necessity for human survival. Can you imagine how much humanity would suffer if it needed to buy such elements? Moreover, God has put nature at the service of humans to perform the tasks assigned to them. Note that the interrelations established by God between man and nature complement each other. What humans refrain from because they do not need it, like carbon dioxide, has been essential for plants to process photosynthesis, the most important organic process for life. In the same way, what is not necessary for animals, such as dung, is needed for plants as fertilizer. Plants in turn give up oxygen for humans and animals and take carbon dioxide, which is harmful to them. As you can see, there is a dependency relationship among these beings, whereby animals cannot live without plants, humans cannot live without plants and animals, and all of them cannot live without the world of matter. Therefore, the relationship between man and nature must be characterized by intimacy, not only because the man himself is an integral part of nature, but because he benefits from these relations. Thus, man must respect natural laws and not transgress them under the pretext of technical progress and economic growth. Moreover, since man must take care of himself, he must necessarily direct attention to nature, because this is also part of caring for himself, since this care allows him to obtain from nature what he needs to perform his duties. Let's leave it right there. Next, however, we will turn to question the role that each worldview plays in the life of its bearers. To access such content, please go to File B with the same title, that is, What is the Meaning and Purpose of Life, Islamic Perspective, File B. See you there, and peace upon you.
حسبي ربي جل الله